Kelly Haddock gave birth to her first kid 10 years ago. She and her spouse, AJ, were the happiest people on the planet at that moment. Unfortunately, the family was involved in a horrific vehicle accident while their baby Eli was just 14 weeks old. Welcome to USA Stories channel. Do not forget to subscribe and activate the bell button to receive all new updates. Now let's go to the story. AJ died instantaneously on contact, while Eli suffered serious injuries. In order to express gratitude to everyone who helped preserve her young boy, Kelly shares her heartbreaking story of tragedy and explains how she somehow made it through the most trying time in her life. On her blog, Kelly provides a detailed account of the days that followed the tragedy. She notes that while her kid had a long road ahead of him, her physical recovery was rather swift. Eli not only survived, but thrived, and he's well now. Since then, Kelly has been married again, and the two of them have 3 kids. The thank you effort by Kelly and the film that chronicled it happened by accident. Kelly was certain she wanted to give back to the folks who had supported her then-infant son throughout the difficult time. When she told an acquaintance about this, he was genuinely shocked by the coincidence because he worked as a hospital filmmaker. We are in complete awe of Kelly. Her infectious warmth and kind disposition are contagious. It truly inspires me how she managed to see the bright side of life even after experiencing such sadness. She is the epitome of appreciating those who, even if they were just strangers going about their business, had a great impact on her life. Before you watch Kelly's tale, make sure you have some tissues handy. It will surely make you cry. But we can assure you that you will have a delightfully uplifting sense of elevation at the finish. In a different narrative, Amelia Taylor ought not to be here. In the United States, where newborns are not deemed viable until 23 weeks, she was born at less than 22 weeks. However, due to her mother's desperation, Amelia is now the most preterm infant to have survived, having deceived to medical professionals about how far along she was. Ada Adamariam reports on her remarkable journey and poses the question, should we be protecting kids this small? The image that went viral yesterday, with 2 tiny, nearly transparent pink-brown feet sticking through an adult's fingers, has an unearthly quality. It took 2 glances to confirm that those were, in fact, feet. Amelia Taylor, who was born in Miami in October of last year, 21 weeks and 6 days after conception, was the owner of them. At birth, her weight was less than 10 ounces, not even comparable to the combined weight of 2 regular bars of soap. Her length was just 9.5 inches. Officially, the most preterm infant to have survived is Amelia, who is scheduled to leave the hospital in the coming days. Amelia's mother, 37-year-old Sonia Taylor, told the Miami Herald that her daughter is like a real baby now, which makes her parents understandably quite happy. Now that I'm holding her, I can feel her. The physicians involved are expressing informed incredulity, having initially been ready to deliver the news of the baby's death to parents who had previously had a difficult IVF program and fright after scare throughout pregnancy. Dr. William Smalling, a neonatologist, states that this is not typical. The majority of these newborns don't live in actuality. It truly is a miracle. Surprisingly, Amelia seems to be doing well despite a few anticipated respiratory problems. The outlook is really good. In context, kids delivered at 37 to 40 weeks are those who reach full term. This puts Amelia's accomplishment in perspective. The Association of Pediatrics states that a baby born before 23 weeks of gestation is not deemed viable. According to a historic study released late last year by the Newfield Council on Bioethics, infants born before 22 weeks and 6 days gestation should typically not be resuscitated. This report contains instructions that all British neonatologists and pediatricians are encouraged to take into consideration. No infant under 22 weeks old needs to be revived. We consider current attempts to resuscitate a baby to be experimental for this age group, the paper stated. There is no legal requirement for doctors to attempt to rescue a baby if they determine that doing so would be against the child's best interests, even between 23 weeks and 23 weeks and 6 days. In the meanwhile, the Abortion Act permits abortions up to 24 weeks in Britain, albeit this seldom occurs. After this, there has to be unquestionable medical proof that continuing would be risky. In any event, State-by-state variations in the legislation result in an unpredictable environment full of ambiguities and uncertainty. It is prohibited under Roe v. Wade after the fetus is viable, yet this is debatable as Amelia has demonstrated. Actually, if Amelia's mother hadn't lied to the physicians about how far along she was out of desperation, Amelia might not have survived at all. Sonia experienced infections and anomalies in her cervical region during her pregnancy, and at 19 weeks, she began to exhibit labor symptoms. 9 days later, the physicians performed a cesarean surgery after realizing they could no longer wait for a vaginal birth. Amazingly, Amelia was breathing on her own and even tried a few times to scream when she came out. It was assumed by the doctors that Sonia may be 23 weeks old, and she did not deceive them. The whole extent of Amelia's early age was only discovered later. One of the physicians said, during a subsequent news conference, that Sonia had been in such pain for so long that the hormones she was making were actually assisting Amelia in surviving. Now that she's finished, it's appropriate to think about her future. She would not have lived 5 years ago, of course. Indeed, it's likely that she would never have been created. Nor would anyone have anticipated her doing so. Babies like her still don't in a lot of nations throughout the world. Of course, she has no idea of her record-breaking position and the moral conundrums it raises. Some of the most delicate topics of our day are how and why we extend life, as well as what that life will ultimately look like. It's not just about survival. When should the baby's and her family's best interests take precedence before medical heroics? Can one even perform those calculations? According to Hilary Rose, a City University sociology of science professor, there are serious questions about it, and they must be addressed. I believe that medicine often views life as the ultimate accomplishment, and naturally, a parent experiencing extreme distress will also perceive that. However, when we are more composed, we want the child to enjoy and have a decent opportunity in life. It is important to create a nurturing atmosphere in some way so that the parents, who will be responsible for raising these kids, may make an informed choice. They are under a great deal of strain, especially if conception has been challenging. I really believe that society has to consider these issues much more seriously and in depth. Premature babies have a wide range of challenges from the start, both now and down the road. Fetuses have very little brains or lungs at fewer than 23 weeks of gestation. As a matter of fact, all the organs are extremely immature, according to John Wyatt, a professor of newborn pediatrics at the University College London Hospital's NHS Foundation Trust and a long-time interest in medical ethics. The lungs are the main problem. The lungs are nearly solid, making it difficult to get oxygen in, not even with machines. Attempting to save the infant can result in significant, irreversible harm. The kidneys are undeveloped and the skin is frequently quite thin. The brain is highly vulnerable to damage, particularly bleeding, due to its great immaturity. Additionally, it seems from follow-up research that newborns who survive for less than 23 weeks are most likely to experience neurological or developmental issues. Only 2 of the 138 newborns who showed signs of life after being born at fewer than 22 weeks lived to be released, according to a 1995 research that was included in the Nuffield report. Upon conducting a follow-up at 6 years old, it was discovered that one of the 2 had severe disabilities. These disabilities were classified as likely to make a child highly dependent on caregivers and included one or more of the following symptoms: profound neural hearing loss, cerebral palsy that prevented the child from walking, an IQ score significantly below average, blindness, or cerebral palsy. A slight disability was assigned to the other youngster. Apart from the child's condition, parents who have children with such high degrees of impairment experience significant stress in their relationship. The editor of the Bulletin of Medical Ethics, Professor Richard Nicholson, questions if it is truly worth it to attempt to keep that infant alive. It's likely that significant resources will need to be allocated throughout the duration of its existence. Because we have experienced death far less, we are now a lot less inclined to accept it. It would be considered ridiculous in nations with greater infant mortality rates. Our civilization has made us dependent on our physical selves. It cannot be sustained at all. Humanity's current efforts to prolong physical life for everybody will reduce the likelihood that the species will endure climatic change. I appreciate you seeing. Please remember to subscribe to our channel, give us a thumbs up, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of our videos. If you enjoyed the tale, the next video that plays on your screen will probably move you too.